Good evening. I'm Mr. Eliot Gray, and I'll be your quiet companion on the still past. Gentle, boring stories for sleep. Together, we'll drift through the quieter corners of history. Not battles or kings, but the soft details, the lamplight, the letters, the footsteps in silence. So before you settle in, if you'd like, feel free to pause, take a breath, and share a little piece of yourself in the comments. Tell us where in the world you're listening from, what time it is as you press play, and maybe, if you're feeling a little curious, what story, place, or time period you'd love to visit next in your dreams. So let the noise of the day fall away. Let the light dim. Let the flicker of another time begin to rise in your imagination like a lantern lit just for you. This story was made to ease your mind and perhaps to carry you gently into sleep. Let's begin.
Tonight, we walk beside a Roman temple guard through a single night of sacred duty. From the last glow of sunset to the hush of dawn, you'll experience the quiet rhythm of an ancient vigil, filled with flickering torches, marble shadows, and the steady presence of a holy flame. This is not the world of emperors or gladiators, but of silence, ritual, and quiet strength. Whether you're a history lover, a night owl, or simply in search of a peaceful escape, a Roman temple guard's sacred night watch is your invitation to slow down and breathe. Now settle in and follow the flame. The flame you guard is more than just a fire. It is the very breath of Rome, ancient and unbroken, burning across generations. To the people of the city, it is a symbol of divine protection. To the priests, it is a conduit between mortal Rome and the celestial realm. But to you, tonight, it is a living presence, a silent companion whose light must not falter. The day is dying. As the sun retreats behind the Aventine Hill, the last golden slivers of light glance off the rooftops, temples, and statues. Slowly, the capital of the known world exhales. The market noise in the forum dies down, replaced by the low murmur of evening prayers. Smoke from cook fires curls into the twilight. Behind closed doors, lamps flicker to life. Rome is winding down, but you are just beginning. You adjust your woolen cloak, still warm from the sun, and take your place. The sacred grounds of the Temple of Vesta rise before you, a circular marble building tucked within the Roman Forum, unassuming to outsiders, but to every Roman, it is the city's beating heart. Within its core, the eternal flame flickers. Outside its steps, you now stand watch. You are a custodian of peace, of continuity, of Rome's covenant with the divine. This is no glamorous post. You won't win medals or a triumph for what you do here. No songs will be written of the men who walked the night around a shrine. But still, your duty is absolute. Because if that fire goes out, it isn't just a ritual failure, it is an omen. A break in Rome's pact with the gods. The people would panic. The Senate would question omens. Enemies might grow bold. That is what you're guarding against. Not just vandals or thieves, but doubt, decay, and the collapse of faith itself. So you draw a slow breath, steady your thoughts, and begin the watch for the city, for the goddess, for all that must endure. Your shift begins with the setting sun. The watch is divided into 4 sections through the night, a practice borrowed from Rome's legions, where order is built into every hour. The prima vigilia is yours, the first watch, from dusk to roughly 9 p.m. It seems simple, but it is as sacred as any rite. You step into the marble precinct. The heavy bronze doors close behind the day guard, and now the silence becomes yours. The stone underfoot is still warm, and your sandals echo sharply with each step. You pause before the flame. No one else is here, but you nod in deference, as if greeting a living being. The fire has no eyes, no voice, but it sees and hears everything. The Temple of Vesta is modest in size, compared to the grand basilicas and imperial monuments of the Forum, but its power is immense. Its shape is circular, symbolizing eternity. The flame sits in a low bronze hearth at the center. Around it, the marble walls are etched with faded prayers and the names of long-dead Vestals. Above, an opening in the domed roof lets the smoke drift into the sky, a straight line from Earth to Olympus. You begin your patrol. You trace the inner walls with your torch, its flickering light making shadows dance over ancient inscriptions. There is no furniture, no decoration but what is sacred. The scent in the air is thick, a mix of ashes, olive oil, and centuries of incense. It clings to your skin. It marks this place as holy. Every few minutes, you pause to listen. There are other guards like you, stationed across the temple complex, some near the perimeter, others watching the secondary entrances. You may not see them tonight, but you know they are there, a silent fraternity. Outside, Rome is still murmuring. You hear distant laughter, a child calling, the ring of a blacksmith's hammer finishing its day. You imagine the Subura district buzzing with gossip and gamblers, but that noise seems far away. Within the temple, there is stillness. Your eyes pass over statues of Rome's gods, Janus with 2 faces, watching every entrance, Mars with his spear and wolfskin, Minerva, serene in her wisdom. But here, it is Vesta who reigns, though she is never depicted in human form. She is presence, not person. Her flame is her face. You think of the Vestal virgins, those 6 chosen women who tend this fire by day. Their lives are as bound to this temple as yours, perhaps more. They live in the house of the Vestals nearby, cloistered, powerful, sworn to chastity for 30 years. Even senators bow to them. Their punishment for breaking their vow? Death, buried alive. But at night, their duties end. That is when your role begins. A shadow moves at the edge of your torchlight. Your hand falls to your gladius, just a pigeon taking flight. But your heart leaps anyway. You cannot afford to ignore anything. Even a stray dog inside the temple could bring ritual impurity. You were trained for this, to see, to hear, to judge quickly. A shuffling sound. You pivot fast. Just a wind stirring the olive branches in the courtyard. The sky is almost fully dark now. The lamps around the precinct flicker to life one by one. The outer walkways grow quiet. A servant in the priest's quarters closes the shutters. You are alone. You whisper a short phrase under your breath. De immortalis custodi hunc ignem. Immortal gods guard this fire. There is no response. There never is. But the act centers you. You check the main gates, locked, bolted. You look up. The stars are out. Jupiter blazes overhead. Back inside the temple, you kneel briefly beside the flame. Just a moment. You are not a Vestal, not trained in rites, but still you bow your head. You are here to serve, and in this first watch, that service feels clean, ordered, right. The hour bell rings in the Forum. 1 toll, 1 hour down, 3 to go. You rise and resume your walk, each step a silent promise. The flame still burns. Rome still stands. This is the true night. The The second watch begins, the secunda vigilia, and with it comes a silence so thick it feels like a veil drawn over the world. The sky above is heavy and black, the stars like cold pinpricks. The hum of the city has faded entirely now. The last drinkers in the taverns have staggered home. Even the forum, which never truly sleeps, lies dormant. You tighten your cloak. The warmth of the evening has long since faded. The marble beneath your feet holds a deep chill, and the night air feels sharper now, like it carries the bite of something older than weather. This is when the watch becomes a trial, not just of the body, but of the mind. You pass by the flame again. Its light flickers, unwavering, casting amber shadows across the polished stone. It is the only living thing here. Even the statues seem hushed, frozen in poses of contemplation. Mars gazes ahead. Athena, with her unblinking eyes, watches from her alcove, and the twin faces of Janus stare forward and back. You could almost imagine that they, too, are standing vigil with you. But in truth, you are alone. A draft slips through the colonnade. Somewhere in the distance, a door creaks. You stop, listening. Was that real? Or a sound imagined by a weary mind? Your hand drops instinctively to the hilt of your gladius. You've trained for this, not for battles on distant frontiers, but for the discipline required to hold a line against nothingness. That is what this hour demands. The fear of nothing, the tricks of the mind. Shadows shaped like lurking men, footsteps that turn out to be wind. The longer you stand here, the more you must convince yourself that everything is as it should be. A rat scurries across the flagstones. You catch it in your torchlight, its eyes reflecting red before it vanishes into the dark. Harmless, but a reminder. Any creature that finds its way into the sacred space is a threat. A rat chews, a dog fouls, a human defiles. You patrol again, this time slower. You glance down one of the temple's side corridors. The torchlight only goes so far. Beyond it, blackness. You stand a moment, trying to decide whether to investigate. Eventually, you step forward, slowly, carefully. Just a storeroom. Sealed. You press your fingers to the iron latch, cold. Back into the main hall. You pause before the flame again. It dances now, as if stirred by some unseen breath. You whisper a line taught to you as a boy. As long as the fire burns, Rome lives. It's superstition, maybe, but it comforts you. Your eyes feel heavier now. That's the danger. The captain of the temple makes his rounds during these hours. He moves like a shadow himself. You've never heard his footsteps, but he appears without warning. A man caught nodding off at his post might be whipped, stripped of rank, or worse. The honor of this station does not excuse failure. You take a deep breath and walk a little faster, boots clacking louder. The sound wakes you up. Outside, a breeze stirs again. This time it carries the distant smell of the Tiber, mud, water, rot, life. It reminds you that the world continues beyond these walls. Rome breathes while you watch. That thought, oddly, gives you strength. You hear something again, louder this time. Not wind, not animal. A footstep? You crouch slightly, lowering your torch, eyes scanning. Nothing moves. You slip your sword halfway from its sheath. Another sound. Soft. Intentional. You step around the column, prepared. It's the captain, standing, still as a statue, watching you. You immediately rise, spine straight, salute. The silence between you is its own language. He nods once, a sign you're doing your duty well. Then he vanishes back into the dark. Your heart pounds, but in a strange way, you're grateful. His presence reminded you, this is not just a night of endurance, but of purpose. You are not here to survive the night. You are here to hold a line that reaches from the hearth of this temple out to every Roman home, to every soldier in the provinces, to the Senate, to the emperors, living and dead. You look at the flame again. You whisper to it, still burning, still Rome. This is the hardest part. The third watch, Terria Vigilia. It falls between midnight and the first glow of dawn. Not quite night, not yet morning. The flame still burns, but your eyes feel like they're filled with sand. Your limbs are heavy, your breath colder. This is when the world feels most fragile. No songs are sung about the third watch. The poets praise the heroism of war and the pleasures of the feast. But this is a silence so deep, even the gods seem to sleep. The only sound is your breathing and the slow scrape of your sandals on stone. You walk your patrol again, slowly. The torch in your hand burns lower, the wood blackened, the fire subdued. Shadows cling tighter to the corners of the temple. Your ears strain for any sound. But the quiet is absolute. Even the city's stray dogs have curled into silence. You feel the tug of sleep. It's not a thought. It's a pull, in the muscles, behind the eyes, in the pit of your chest. You blink too long. You stretch your jaw to stay awake. You know the danger, not just of being caught, but of letting your guard slip for a moment too long. That's all it would take. So you start to think. That's what this watch is for. Reflection. The city may sleep, but the mind does not. You think of your wife. She'll be curled under a rough woolen blanket, the children beside her. You left quietly this evening, kissed her brow as the lamps were being lit. You remember the smell of her hair, the quiet murmur of the baby. Now they are far away, on the other side of Rome, but your steps here keep them safe. You imagine your home, the clay lamps, the bronze coins in a small wooden box, the herbs she hung above the door. These tiny things matter more than the marble monuments of the Forum, because this flame, this duty, protects them too. The other guards are likely feeling the same. You'll never speak about it. It would sound too sentimental, too soft. But each of you has someone or something that gives weight to your steps, that lends meaning to this cold and lonesome hour. You take a moment at the flame again. You lower your torch and simply sit near it, not too close, but close enough to feel its warmth on your cheeks. The fire crackles softly. The shadows stretch and curl. It is mesmerizing. You remember what an old Vestal once told you in passing. She said the flame is not just sacred to Vesta, but it is Vesta. Not a symbol, a presence, a being. The fire is the goddess. And so, in these hours, you are not alone. You reach into your satchel and pull out your flask, water, not wine. You pour a few drops on the stone beside the hearth, a private libation. Then you murmur a prayer, quiet, unsure, but from the heart. Vesta, keeper of the flame, guardian of the hearth, lend me your strength. Let your fire keep me awake, keep me worthy. No answer comes, but the warmth feels a little stronger now. You begin to walk again. Your body aches, but movement helps. You press a hand against one of the columns, feeling its coldness. You trace a finger through a groove worn over centuries. Others have stood here. Other guards, other prayers, other nights. You are part of a chain, stretching back generations. You are not special, but you are essential. That's enough. Far off, from the direction of the Subura, a rooster crows. The first one, then another. The sky remains dark, but that sound, it carries a promise. The promise of light, of relief, of change. You allow yourself the smallest smile. You have survived the heart of the night, the worst of it. The rest is just endurance. You whisper it aloud. One more watch.
The
The final watch begins. The Quarta Vigilia. You hear it before you see it. The shift in sound that comes just before dawn. A rooster crows, then another. Somewhere nearby, a wooden cart squeaks into motion, its wheels bumping softly over cobblestones. The city is stirring. The sky has not yet turned blue, but the black has lightened to a charcoal gray. A faint blush appears on the eastern horizon, barely visible through the temple's open portico. It's the color of hope. You walk the perimeter one more time. There is still work to do. The last stretch of the night can lull a man into carelessness, but this moment, this slow unveiling of light, demands attention. The marble of the temple, which hours ago seemed cold and lifeless, now begins to glow faintly. You touch a column and feel the change. The stone is no longer biting. It is waking up with the rest of Rome. You hear soft movement near the entrance, then the gentle clink of metal and the whisper of cloth. The priests have returned. Draped in white, the first of them steps through the doorway without a word. He gives you a quiet nod, not a greeting, but a signal. The sacred duties of the day are resuming. You step aside as they pass, watching as they move with quiet purpose. One carries a small amphora, another holds a dish of incense, a third brings the morning's offering, a mix of milk, grain, and wine. Their pace is unhurried, each movement deliberate. It is a ceremony, even if there is no crowd. The sun's first light breaks over the rooftops. It streams through the temple entrance, striking the flame and making it shimmer gold. The smoke rises straight and true, pulled upward toward the open oculus above. For a moment, everything seems to stand still. You stand back and observe. Your part is nearly done. The captain of the temple makes his final round. His expression is unreadable, but his nod is slow, deliberate. You've done your duty. A younger guard steps in from the outer gate. He looks alert, clean-faced, still smelling of breakfast and soap. You meet his eyes and give the traditional silent nod. The changing of the guard. Nothing dramatic, but it matters. The chain remains unbroken. You step outside into the full light of morning. The forum is beginning to buzz again. Merchants roll up their awnings. Bakers call out their first wares. A pair of senators in deep discussion pass by, trailed by scribes. Children laugh, chasing a dog near the fountains. Life, loud, messy, beautiful, has resumed. But you carry something different. Something quiet. You were there when Rome slept. You watched when others could not. You walked beside fire and shadow and silence. You kept the soul of the city alive. And now, as you disappear into the crowd, no one notices, but the flame still burns, and that is enough. The sun is fully risen now. Its warmth hits your face as you descend the temple steps. Rome is wide awake. Streets filling, voices rising, carts creaking into motion. To the crowds in the forum, today is just another day, but to you, it carries weight. They won't know you were here. They won't see the circles under your eyes or the way your limbs ache from standing. They won't smell the ashes clinging to your cloak. But none of that matters, because the flame still burns. You walk home slowly, the hum of the city rising around you. You pass a baker stoking his oven, a washerwoman wringing out tunics, a boy running past with a reed flute, and all of them, knowingly or not, were under your protection last night. That's what being a guardian means. You are invisible, but essential. You held the line through darkness so the day could begin in peace. The temple fades behind you, but a part of it stays with you. The quiet, the fire, the weight of that sacred silence. You will carry it all the way home. And when you finally close the door behind you, letting the smells of the morning in with you, bread, dust, olive oil, you'll rest knowing that Rome saw another sunrise because you stood the night. If this quiet journey through ancient Rome helped you feel a little more peaceful, or gave you something gentle to fall asleep to, consider liking and subscribing to the Still Past, gentle, boring stories for sleep. We share calming tales from forgotten corners of history, perfect for slow evenings, sleepless nights, or peaceful moments of escape. Let us know in the comments where you're listening from and what other hidden roles or quiet lives you'd like to explore next. Until then, sleep well and let the flame burn on.